Let's begin with the foundations. Welcome to another lecture. Today we examine the career of Alex Freeman, an American footballer, and we will treat his story as a compact case study in modern player development and decision-making under uncertainty. I'm Alexei.
Hi, I'm Priyanka. Um, I'm excited and kind of nervous in a good way because I grew up watching a lot of soccer and there's a lot to unpack here.
To frame our discussion, Alex Freeman is an American professional who plays primarily as a right back, though he has been used as a right winger and as the right-sided center back in a back three. He currently plays for Villarreal in La Liga and for the United States. His professional arc runs from Orlando City's academy to MLS, then to Spain, and it already includes the Gold Cup and the FIFA World Cup.
Maybe the best place to begin is by asking a simple question. What exactly do we mean by right back and centre back? And what are things like a cap or a brace? I always hear those in commentary.
It's important to understand the geometry of roles. A right back defends the right flank, controls width in and out of possession, and often overlaps to deliver crosses. A center back occupies the central defensive corridor, organizing the line, winning aerials, and initiating build-up. In back three structures, the right-sided center back can step wider, giving you an extra degree of freedom to progress play. A cap is an appearance for the national team, while a brace is 2 goals scored by one player in a single match. In simpler terms, think of the pitch as a grid, and these roles as how you allocate defensive and attacking resources across that grid.
And when people say overlap or underlap, is it just who runs on the outside versus inside channel?
Precisely, an overlap is the fullback running outside the winger to stretch the touchline channel. And an underlap is the opposite, knifing into the interior half space. Freeman's toolkit includes both, plus an aerial presence that matters on set pieces and back post crosses. This set of attributes, in turn, helps explain why we already observe him trusted as a right-sided center back in some U.S. national team structures. Now, why this case matters. Youth development in the United States has historically lacked a seamless pipeline to top European leagues. MLS academies and more recently MLS Next Pro are designed to close that gap by standardizing minutes at a competitive level and accelerating first-team readiness. Freeman's path is exemplary of that intended design. He moves from academy to reserve league to MLS Impact, to La Liga, to the U.S. national team, all in a compressed window from 2020 to 2026.
So, moving on. The stakes are kind of structural. If this pathway works consistently, it changes how American teenagers and their families think about risk, time horizons, and even which academy to choose.
Let's start with the history. Freeman was born in Baltimore in August 2004 and raised in Fort Lauderdale. He first played under his stepfather, Jake Hinkle. He attended American Heritage School, then joined Weston FC's academy for 3 seasons. He trialed with Inter Miami's academy and was not selected, a rejection that precipitated the decisive move to Orlando City's academy in 2020. During COVID, he relocated to Orlando and lived with another player's family, turning 16 away from home for the first time. A small line in a biography, but a large moment for a teenager.
And then the production begins to appear quickly. Right.
Indeed. In 2021, he posted 30 matches, 8 goals, 15 assists with Orlando City's U17s, winning the inaugural MLS Next Cup. In February 2022, the club signs him to a homegrown deal. He debuts for Orlando City B and MLS Next Pro in March 2022, and finishes that season with 19 appearances and 3 assists. That same year, Orlando City wins the U.S. Open Cup, and he integrates with U.S. youth teams, scoring his first youth international goal against Malta in September 2022, as the U.S. wins a small friendly tournament in Slovenia.
Then 2023 looks like the bridge year into senior levels.
Correct. In March 2023, he scores a brace for Orlando City B, makes his MLS debut in April 2023, and closes the reserve season with 25 appearances, 4 goals, and 3 assists. He also gains tournament experience at the Pan American Games. Not glamorous, but very practical in terms of consecutive match exposures and varying opponents. 2024 is the signal that end product is compounding. He assists his first senior goal for Orlando City in July 2024. Then in MLS Next Pro, he has 8 goals, 9 assists across 26 matches, leading his team in assists and total contributions. Is named Player of the Match Week in September 2024 and Player of the Month for that month. He also takes his first playoff start for Orlando City B and converts a shootout penalty, even though the team exits.
And then 2025 is the year everything accelerates at once.
Precisely. In March 2025, he makes his first MLS start and scores. By late March 2025, he has goals and assists in a 4-1 win over DC United and earns Team of the Matchday nods. He becomes the youngest MLS All-Star, participates in skills events, and later in the year scores crucial late equalizers, again making Team of the Matchday. Seasonally, he delivers 6 goals and 6 assists across competitions, wins MLS Young Player of the Year, and becomes Orlando City's first ever MLS Best 11 selection. The club exercises his 2026 option amid external interest. Turning to the international stage, he receives his first senior call in May 2025 under Maurizio Pochettino. Starts a friendly versus Turkey. Starts 6 straight Gold Cup matches, becoming the youngest U.S. player to do so in a single tournament, and reaches the final. In November 2025, he scores a brace in a 5-1 win over Uruguay and is named Man of the Match. These are statistically and psychologically significant thresholds.
And then the leap to Spain.
In January 2026, he transfers to Villarreal on a 6-year contract through June 2032. The reported fee is up to $7 million. That figure typically includes add-ons and contingencies, so the fixed component is undisclosed. He debuts in February 2026, makes 9 La Liga appearances in that campaign, and earns a first start in April 2026 in a 2-1 win over Celta Vigo, with the club praising him for winning all 5 of his duels. Concurrently, he makes the U.S. World Cup roster, assists Giovanni Reyna in a 4-1 win over Paraguay in June 2026, and scores against Australia later that month to secure progression. This is a packed semester of football, to borrow an academic metaphor. A brief personal note before we consider larger questions. I have advised more than one student who left home at 16 for what looked like an improbable opportunity. In every case, the variable that predicted persistence was the mundane network of support structures. A bed, a ride, a phone call when you fail an exam, or in this case, a trial. Freeman's story reads similarly: the move to Orlando, living with another family, the first birthday away from home, and yet the daily standards that compound over time.
That makes me wonder about our first big question. How did the early setback shape the trajectory? Like, the Inter Miami rejection seems pivotal, but also very normal for youth players.
Historically, many notable careers include a formative no. In this case, not making Inter Miami redirected Freeman to Orlando City's academy, where the environment fit his profile. Weston FC coach Javier Carrillo is reported to have nudged him toward Orlando. Within a year, he wins MLS Next Cup at U17 with significant output. Within 2 years, he signs a professional contract and gets youth national team caps. We can infer that the refusal acted less as a barrier and more as an optimizing signal, pushing him toward a better match of coaching, style, and opportunity.
I'm curious about family support here. His stepfather coached him first, and I read his mother is a Liverpool fan who calls him her little Trent Alexander-Arnold. Does that sort of household culture really matter beyond nice anecdotes?
It's crucial to understand that family culture functions as a stabilizer and a translator. Jake Hinkle provided early technical baselines. The household, with 2 younger brothers also playing soccer, normalized daily repetition. His mother initially hesitated to approve the move to Orlando during COVID, understandably, but ultimately consented to a living arrangement that provided elite training and continuity. Even the Trent comparison frames an identity for an attack-minded fullback. Psychologically, such identity cues help adolescents tolerate the monotony of practice and the sting of rejection. In simpler terms, support makes persistence more probable.
And the data points after the pivot back it up. He wins a trophy with the U17s, then professional minutes in MLS Next Pro, then senior team involvement, then national team call-ups. It looks like a compounding curve rather than a straight line.
Yes, and that compounding is not only output, but versatility. Right back, winger, right-sided center back, overlapping and underlapping runs, set-piece danger. Coaches select players who solve multiple tactical problems without substitutions. That is the currency he accrued.
So, the second big question, the counterfactual. What if he had stayed at Orlando City instead of moving to Villarreal in early 2026?
Theoretically, had he stayed, he likely secures guaranteed minutes, consolidates his MLS role, and arrives at the World Cup with rhythm. The opposing scenario, which actually occurred, carried the risk of reduced playing time before a major tournament. Some analysts indeed labeled it risky. That characterization is opinion rather than outcome. Empirically, he debuts within 11 days, accumulates 9 La Liga appearances, and makes the World Cup squad, where he records an assist and a goal. So the realized outcome suggests the upside of higher training intensity and tactical education outweighed the minutes risk in that specific window.
Can we say that training level can substitute for some match minutes, at least in the short run? Or is that too optimistic?
To some extent. Training at Villarreal refines decision speed, positional cues, and defensive dual timing against elite peers. Those micro-adaptations can show quickly, as in his first start where he reportedly won all 5 duels. However, match fitness and stress inoculation come only from games. The balance is delicate. In Freeman's case, the club provided both, albeit in modest volumes, and the national team staff already trusted his profile from 2025. That trust functioned as insurance.
I think the next thing we should talk about is the risk profile of mid-season transfers before a tournament. What are the main failure modes?
Failure modes include administrative delays limiting eligibility, tactical misfit and subsequent benching, physical overload or injury, and loss of national team role due to optics of non-playing status. In this case, international clearance arrived swiftly. The tactical role was coherent with his strengths, and he managed minutes without reported injury. Additionally, it is worth noting the fee was reported as up to $7 million, which implies the purchasing club had incentives to integrate him to justify both the asset and the wage slot.
Building on that, if he had stayed, Maybe he posts big accounting stats in MLS. But then, does the European move become harder later? Or not necessarily?
Not necessarily, but timing matters. The market currently rewards earlier moves for players with positional flexibility and athletic ceilings. Waiting can increase transfer fees beyond what some European buyers will pay for a fullback, which can stall moves. Going earlier trades some guaranteed output for accelerated adaptation. Freeman's subsequent World Cup contributions likely validated the timing, at least directionally.
On to our next point, the open question. How does his trajectory influence perceptions of MLS as a developmental pipeline?
We observe several signals. First, MLS Next Pro functioned as a reliable bridge for Freeman, giving him 40-plus matches over 2022 and 2024, with growing end product. Second, he becomes the youngest MLS All-Star, and then wins Young Player of the Year, followed by MLS Best 11, indicating domestic validation of his quality. Third, he transfers to La Liga, plays, and immediately affects the US at a World Cup. These sequential validations support the thesis that MLS academies can produce and MLS can showcase players fit for top 5 European leagues.
But there are debates. Some argue that the ceiling for tactical schooling and everyday competition is still higher in Europe. How do we reconcile the narratives?
Two truths can coexist. European academies and B teams often provide denser competition ecosystems. MLS, however, offers clearer first-team pathways, better physical infrastructures in many markets, and crucially, the MLS Next Pro match runway. What Freeman's case suggests is complementarity. Develop in MLS systems, collect professional minutes, then transfer to accelerate tactical detail. The presence of a robust return option or loan pathway also matters, though in this case, Villarreal used them in-house.
I often think about the bottlenecks. What are future challenges for MLS academies if they want to replicate this pattern more often?
Several. First, continuity of elite coaching in the 15 to 19 window, where turnover can fracture learning. Second, housing and education supports for players who relocate, as Freeman did at 16. Third, more interleague competition to calibrate standards. Fourth, data integration that tracks not just appearances and goals, but role complexity, dual efficiency, and recovery profiles. Fifth, transparent mechanisms for outbound transfers that include buyback or sell-on clauses, so clubs are incentivized to both sell and keep developing. We need more longitudinal research to separate survivorship bias from systemic success.
And at the individual level, his versatility seems like a hedge. Right back, winger, third centre-back. It gives more pathways to minutes in different tactical systems.
Exactly. Modern selection rewards players who can both protect the wide channel 1v1 and arrive to finish at the back post. Freeman's aerial timing, evident in late equalizers in 2025 and a World Cup header in 2026, is a differentiator. Versatility also reduces the variance of a coaching change. If a manager pivots to a back three, he remains viable. If the team demands a winger who defends like a fullback, he can approximate that as well.
So, I guess that kind of sums it up. Rejection at Inter Miami redirected him. Orlando City's academy and MLS Next Pro accelerated him. 2025 cemented him. Villarreal tested him. And the US national team trusted him.
To summarize, Alex Freeman is a playmaking, goal-scoring fullback from Baltimore and South Florida. Developed through Weston FC and Orlando City, who became the youngest MLS All-Star in 2025, won MLS Young Player of the Year, and made MLS Best 11. Transferred to Villarreal in 2026 on a 6-year deal with a reported fee up to $7 million. Earned 9 La Liga appearances that spring. Then contributed an assist and a World Cup goal for the United States. 3 questions guided our analysis. First, early setbacks can optimize pathways when family and coaching supports are strong. Second, the counterfactual on staying in MLS versus moving to La Liga shows a risk-return trade-off that in his case resolved favorably. Third, his case suggests MLS is maturing as a development pipeline, though continued research and infrastructural refinement are needed.
For listeners who want to keep exploring, maybe look at other Americans who moved to Europe, like Christian Pulisic, Tyler Adams, or Weston McKennie. Comparing timelines and roles could be really illuminating.
This then completes our present analysis. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Take care, everyone.